We are very pleased to have three speakers from Columbia Public Schools who will address charter schools, truth and consequences. Dr. Jeff Klein became superintendent of Columbia Public Schools July 1st, 2025. He has been with CPS since July 2024 as Chief Academic Officer. Dr. Klein has 23 years of experience in education. He was with the Park Hill School District in the Kansas City area for 18 years, serving 9 years as Assistant Superintendent for Academic Services. Previous to coming to Columbia, Dr. Klein gained valuable leadership experience in educational technology as Director of North American Operations for Satchel, which is an educational software company. Dr. Katie Siegel is the Director of Workforce Development for Columbia Public Schools. Prior to taking the director position, Dr. Siegel was a transition coordinator where she was able to create many work-based learning opportunities for students with a disability. Dr. Siegel has a bachelor's degree in business education from Central Methodist University, a master's degree in educational leadership from Southwest Baptist University, and gained her PhD from Indiana State University, also in educational leadership. Suzette Waters has served on the CPS's Board of Education since she was first elected in 2022. She was reelected in April 2025. During her first term, she served as board president for 2 consecutive terms. Suzette attended Shepherd Boulevard Elementary, Jeff Junior High, and Rockbridge High School. She has 2 children who graduated from Hickman in 2021 and 2024. Suzette is a graduate of the University of Missouri, Kansas City, with a Bachelor's of Science degree in dental hygiene. She works part-time as a registered dental hygienist at a Columbia dental office. Suzette is very passionate about the importance of public education as essential infrastructure in our community. We welcome all of you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the warm welcome and those great introductions. I'm really honored and grateful to be joining you all with Suzette and Katie and share a little information about the school district and about charters and workforce development. And that's really kind of the order that we're going to go in today. I'm going to start by sharing a little bit of information about some updates on the school district and a little bit of information about us and how we're doing. And I'll transition that to Suzette, who's going to talk and share some data related to charter schools and talk about the impact of charter schools on public schools. And then Katie's going to finish it off with some information about some great things that we're doing related to workforce development in the school district. There's a lot of activity that's been going on over the past couple of years in that arena, and we're really kind of excited about that. So looking forward to having this opportunity with you, and hopefully that it is beneficial and informative and helpful as you all are considering things. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Everybody see this screen, the slides?
Yes, that looks good. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so our vision and mission is where we always start. And our vision is to be the best school district in the state. And our mission is to provide an excellent education for each and every one of our students. We are committed to providing that. And in fact, our theme this year is best place to work and best place to learn. We're committed to CPS being the absolute best place that our staff members can come and work every day, and to be the best place that families can send their students to learn. We have a current strategic plan that has 3 goals. The focus areas are improving attendance, improving student behavior, and improving our academic outcomes as measured by state tests. We're actually beginning the process this year of revising our strategic plan. And so there'll be a lot of opportunities over the next few months to provide feedback and updates and information that you all can share with us about anything that you believe is important for us to be considering and including in our next 5-year strategic plan. So some background on CPS. There are approximately 550 school districts in Missouri, and we are the 4th largest. So certainly in the context of Missouri, we are considered one of the largest districts around. In fact, we have just under 19,000 students, and our projections over the next few years indicate that we will be relatively stable and growing just a little bit over that time period. So a large district, and that means we have a lot of staff members as well. We are the 3rd largest employer in Columbia, and we have about 3,000 staff members, and about half of those are teachers and administrators, and the other half are support staff. This is just a slide that gives you some background on some of the academic accomplishments of students in the district. The one I want to point to is going to be in the bottom left area, and that's our ACT scores. This is one of the most important tests that we look at because it's the strongest indicator of how our students are going to perform when they leave us and move on to their various opportunities beyond graduation. And so our average ACT score is significantly higher than scores at the state and national level, despite the fact that we have a much higher percentage of students taking that assessment than you see at the state and national level. So that's a real accomplishment. It's part of a long tradition we've had in CPS of doing really well on the ACT, and it's something that we've continued to maintain and build upon. We also have had growing attendance rates and an increased graduation rate over the past few years. In fact, this year we're currently sitting at an attendance rate that is about 4% higher than it was this time last year. So fingers crossed that we continue to have good weather and a healthy community, and then we continue to emphasize the importance of attendance as a foundation for academic achievement. We have about 73% of our students when they graduate that go on to some type of post-secondary education, including 4-year colleges, 2-year colleges, and technical school. So, and that, in addition to that, we have a whole variety of students that are already qualified for career-oriented employment that go on to those opportunities beyond graduation as well. So our students are doing great things when they leave us. Today, I wanted to kind of highlight 5 key bright spots. When I talk about what makes CPS the best place that you can send your child to receive an education, these are 5 kind of examples of some specific things that we believe really make CPS fantastic, and they're part of a tradition that we've built upon that has existed for many years, and we continue to expand on in recent years. The first thing is we have a couple of different options. We have neighborhood schools that provide schools where students attend with other students in their locale, in their neighborhood, and clean feeder patterns for elementary school to middle school and to high school that keep students together with friends and neighbors and allow them to develop those relationships and give our schools a neighborhood small school kind of feel to them. But we also offer lottery options. So these are choices that students have within the district that they can apply to be to attend one of our different lottery schools throughout the district, where they can be chosen to attend a school that focuses on arts, to focus on STEM, to focus on science. And so those are some options that we make available. And then we provide global learning experiences, including the development of fluency in foreign languages and learning in a context that is global and inclusive of our entire community. We also have, and you may be aware of some of these, but you may not be aware that we have grade level experiences at virtually every grade, in which students each year have the opportunity to look forward to something like attending the symphony in third grade or attending the Missouri State Capitol. Our fourth graders go to Missouri River Days down at the Missouri River. Our 10th graders attend the True Falls Film Festival. Our seventh graders go to the Arrow Rock Lyceum Theater. So we have a variety of things that supplement and build upon our classroom curriculum to create experiences that are unique to what we're able to provide compared to smaller school districts in some cases and non-public schools. So great grade level experiences, and of course they culminate with a variety of senior experiences that we have for students. We also have, because of our size and the resources that we have available and the commitment we've made to providing electives for students, we have a variety of electives at the middle school and high school level, and a focus on preparing them for what's beyond. And so you might be surprised to know that at the middle school level, we offer choices such as crime scene investigation, aeronautics, coding, money management, theater. At the high school level, choices such as sports psychology, theater tech, meteorology, fashion design. You know, in today's age, it has definitely become more challenging to engage students. And so we continue to update and modernize our curriculum so that students have choices for electives that are truly engaging and get them involved and invested in what they're learning in school. And then, of course, beyond that, as we prepare for post-secondary, we've got a whole variety of AP courses that we offer, dual credit, and I'll talk a little bit about our early college program in a bit. But these experiences prepare students to see themselves in their world beyond graduation and make it more likely for them to be successful and thrive once they do graduate. We continue to offer, you know, well, when you think about the experiences that we often look back to when we were in school, a lot of people think about the extracurricular opportunities, and these have only grown over the years. And so we have a whole variety of clubs and activities and athletics, as well as career-based extracurricular opportunities that are available to students, different type of sports such as volleyball, softball, football, basketball, wrestling. We've recently added stunt, which is a new cheer-related sport. And these are opportunities we continue to grow for students as we, again, want to engage them and get them invested in the school experience. But we have some traditional things as well that we've offered for many years, such as speech and debate and band and other areas that are co-curricular and really make for a comprehensive, well-rounded experience for students that prepares them to be successful in academics and beyond when they graduate. So our early college program, which you may have heard of, this is a great opportunity that we provide that prepares students to receive an associate's degree by the time they graduate from high school. And so this past year, we had 198 students participate in the program. That's grown, continues to grow. And of those, 46 actually completed an entire associate's degree. And even those that did not earned a significant number of credits, a total of 4,633 college credits earned that save families approximately $10,000 for each year of participation that they're involved, but also saves time. It allows students to move into their career or onto graduate school earlier than they would have otherwise. The other thing that I've seen over the years with programs like this, and we see here, is that when students start to participate in college courses in high school, it allows them to start thinking of themselves in a way that's beyond their high school experience. They start picturing themselves in college. They see that they can be successful. They recognize that that's a part of their identity and who they are, and that helps kind of change their mindset around their future and their next step. So really powerful opportunity and experience with early college. And then the last area, which Katie's going to talk more about, but is we provide a ton of workforce development opportunities for all students. We've got over 60 organizational partners now that provide all kinds of experiences for our students, including job shadowing, internships, apprenticeships, training, projects. There's a lot that goes on there. And then about 2,900 of our students are actually participating in programming directly at our career center, which is really one of the hallmarks of our district. Is we have a fantastic career center. We just expanded on and opened up the new addition this year. And but we also include in that 2,900 students our students who participate in the satellite programs related to the Career Center at each of our 3 high schools. So again, Katie will share more about what we're doing in this area, but that's another thing that is really unique that can really only be accessed by students participating in programming through CPS. All in all, what this creates is opportunities, experiences, and curriculum that prepare our graduates in a way that allows them to have the skills, attributes, attitudes, knowledge that allow them to thrive when they graduate. So they become lifelong learners. They develop communication skills. They become critical thinkers. They're resilient, and they develop the trait of grit. And we work with them to become a global citizen. So you know, preparing students for life beyond graduation has changed and continues to evolve, but it involves having and ensuring that students are comprehensively prepared. We have to make sure that academics are in place. We have to do those things, but we also have to make sure that there are these sets of comprehensive employability skills and life skills that are there to make sure that they're successful. And our programs, our structures, and our district are uniquely qualified to be able to ensure that students have that comprehensive set of skills. So I'm going to use this slide to sort of transition to passing the microphone over to Suzette. This is a view of our funding model that shows the percentages of our funds that are received from different sources. And right now, virtually each one of these is we have uncertainty around. They're threatened. Funding at the federal level, as I'm sure you're aware, there's uncertainty around that. But there are threats at the state and local level, including at the state level, a new foundation formula, which would change the way that schools are funded. And we're not 100% clear on exactly what that's going to look like for us here and CPS. But the uncertainty that's created just means that we have to be even more conservative, and we have to be mindful of those things that cause even more uncertainty or even greater threat to being able to fund the programs that we've just been talking about, because it takes resources to be able to provide that for our students. And one of those things that creates uncertainty is charter schools, because the way that charter schools are funded essentially is that the money that we would receive at the state and local level for those students ends up bypassing us and going to those charter schools. And I believe Suzette's going to talk a little bit more about exactly what that looks like. So I will pass, before stealing any of your thunder, Suzette, I will pass it over to you now.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Klein. So I do want to just take a second to talk about what a charter school is. I'm sure most of you are very familiar with that term, but just by way of definition, a charter school is a duplicate school system that is funded with the public dollars that would otherwise come to the traditional public school. So in this case, CPS is the traditional local public school district, and a charter school would be a duplicate public district that would receive money that would otherwise come to us. A charter school's board members are not elected locally. They are appointed, and they can be from anywhere in the state. They do not have to have the 18.5 hours of obligatory training that other elected board members do have to have. Their oversight is not provided by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. It is provided by a paid sponsor. So a sponsor can be like a university or the state's charter commission, and those entities get a percentage of the funding that is allotted to a charter school. So they get a percentage of the money right off the top. A charter school is also a system that is able to, they provide their enrollment largely through a lottery system, but they can tailor those boundaries or that enrollment with specialized boundaries, more restrictive boundaries. They can require performance contracts. They can require parents to volunteer a certain number of hours in the school to be considered to be eligible for enrollment. So it's a little different than a traditional public school in those ways. Go go ahead and flip the next one. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the cost of a charter school. So the slide you're looking at shows the average cost per student for our comparison districts, which range anywhere from the Kansas City area all the way over to St. Louis. And that is just shy of $14,000 per student, and then CPS at just a little over $14,000 a student. And then you see the cost per student over in Kansas City and St. Louis is significantly higher, and that is because in those areas, charter schools have already entered those spaces. So the money coming in to the local school district is the same, but the number of students, or sorry, the money allotted for all students is still the same, but they're being split between two different systems. So the cost to operate stays the same, but the number of students has gone down because some of them have left the traditional public school to go to a charter school, which makes the cost per student go up. And I hope I'm explaining that the right way. The point is, when you're dividing the public money that is available between two systems instead of one, it costs more per student. So the other way that we can demonstrate that charters are an inefficient use of public resources is by looking at the students per administrator. So in this case, you want the number to be high because nobody loves to support a top-heavy organization. Anyone that has worked in a public sector or even at a university level can attest to that. So our comparison districts weigh in at about 196 students per administrator. CPS is right there with 192. And then the average of the 38 charters in the state of Missouri is 99. So almost double the number of administrators in a charter system. And the public taxpayer has to pay for both systems. So we're paying for definitely all those additional costs. And I see some questions popping in the chat, and we'll definitely allot time to get to those. So, you know, I'm kind of trying to demonstrate the high cost of charter schools, but I guess a fair question is, so is it worth it? What are the outcomes? Do the outcomes justify that additional cost? And the answer, I believe, is no. Right here, what you see is the average, or for the last 3 years, of MAP scores in English for all the charter schools in the state, and then Columbia is in the green. So we're pretty close to the top performers. And it's worth noting when you look at the range of charter school performance, very few charter schools offer K through 12 enrollment. Most of them are limited to elementary school. That's the majority are at least like no more than K through 5. Many are K through 2 or 3 through 5, and many of them serve specialized populations. Like a couple of those are French immersion schools. They are specific to language. They are specific to a certain type of enrollment. So to put us up against all of those specialty schools and have us still at that high level, I think is very impressive and speaks a lot about our outcomes. The next slide is math. It shows, you know, how we stack up compared to charters in the last 3 years, the average of the last 3 years of MAP assessments in math. And then finally, we have the APR scores. So charter schools are not accredited by DESE, but they do have to take the MAP test. It just, I'll explain that in a minute, but you see the yellow and the red. Those are APR scores that would put those schools into the provisionally accredited or unaccredited range if they were to need to be accredited. But remember, they are operated by a sponsor. So only the sponsor can close the school. Only the sponsor can pull the charter and tell them that they can no longer operate. So you can see the number of charter schools operating in that range of schools that if a traditional public school were in that range, they would be under some punitive tactics by DESE. And you can see Columbia Public Schools is up near the very top of that APR list again. So kind of going back to that cost per student, that is not To tie in what Dr. Klein was talking about, the cost per student isn't just the cost of the teacher in the classroom. It's the cost to provide the full range of services that are afforded to a student as part of the CPS experience. It's paying for all the adjunctive services that we provide for students, all of those extra experiences, the extracurriculars, the supports, the counselors, the transportation, which charters are not required to provide. And it is part of what makes what makes us kind of a full service organization. The APR scores are great. It's a great number to be able to look at, but where we put our heart and soul isn't into that number. It's into those students. It's into those kids because we want for them to be the best versions of themselves. And Katie's going to talk a little bit about the ways that we support students both through traditional workforce development pathways and then the many different ways that we provide supports for students who find themselves not thriving in a traditional environment, because we acknowledge that there are students that are not seeing success in the traditional classroom environment, and we have gone to great lengths to keep them engaged and provide for them what they need so that they are also successful. So I'll turn it on over to Katie. Katie, you're muted.
I'm sorry, my apologies. Thank you, Ms. Suzette. I am going to talk about workforce development here at Columbia Public Schools, where we are focused on market value assets and implementing them to provide real world learning experiences for our students here at CPS. These opportunities that we afford them offer the authentic, real hands-on experiences and opportunities that connect that classroom learning instruction with that real world application. So through these meaningful experiences and exposure to the workplace, our students are able to gain skills, confidence, and insight that they really need to be successful in the workplace, college, or post-secondary opportunities, giving them the adaptable skills and making them college or career ready. So here on the slide in front of us, it just demonstrates some of the efforts that we've done here in the first year of workforce development efforts to bring together. We had 929 students that completed that dual credit classes. So dual credit class is considered a market value asset. We have partnered with the Missouri Department of Higher Education and Workforce Development to launch a program called CODI. So CODI is Career Opportunity Training for Youth. It is youth that have demonstrated some sort of barrier to employment that then we work with partners in the community for them to serve in an internship role for 320 hours at $15 an hour. And we couldn't do this without all of our wonderful partnerships across the community, as Dr. Klein spoke to. We do have over 60 current partnerships within the community that help us provide these opportunities for our students. We were able to form 12 new ones last year, always focusing on the interest of a student and what they would like to spend that experience doing. So continually growing our partnership base to provide those opportunities. Working with the Department of Labor, we have our Registered Youth Apprenticeships program. The Career Center has done a wonderful job in launching this new program. So we work with the Department of Labor for them to participate in an apprenticeship that is linked to curriculum, that then they serve their hours within a industry or employment here in the community and then are paid by that industry and employer. Also out at the Career Center, they have our industry recognized credentials where it can range from our CNA program to welding and a number of food safe certifications within our culinary department as well. 46% of our EEE seniors participated in internship. But that is something that we're really focusing on growing, is to provide that internship opportunity for seniors across the district. So thank you for your time. And if we have questions, I saw some questions in the chat that Ms. Baumstark has already started to ask.
Yes,
And
I'll let her look at that and introduce a few more people whose presence I want to recognize. First of all, we have over 30 people here, and that's pretty big in a non-political season. And I want to note that this is the first time we have seen Jeff Klein at this meeting. About you from Suzette and others who have appeared before. I'm not sure, Katie Siegel, if you've been at Muleskinners before or not. We know your work, of course, but if so, a special welcome to Jeff and Katie. Suzette is, of course, an old friend by now. We have April Ferraro, and as you also on the school board, elected member, and Michelle Baumstark, who has answered many of the questions. She's the communications director for Columbia Public Schools. And we have Kathy Steinhoff and Greg Bush, both of them state representatives from here in Columbia. And I'd say which their district is. Kathy is my district, but I'll get the numbers wrong, and it doesn't matter. They're old friends. Finally, I note that Gene Abbott, the editor of the Missourian, is on board today. Are there any other members of the press here or elected officials that I haven't mentioned? It's a great meeting. Thank you all for being here, and certainly the press should feel free to ask questions too. What did we miss so far, Michelle, that you haven't answered or that you think would be need some more discussion from questions that have already come in the chat? I'll just review for those who are wondering. There's complicated connections or distinctions between charter schools, magnet schools, and private schools and voucher programs. It gets pretty complicated. These people have the answers, and Michelle's expert at explaining these things. If she wants to explain more, or one of the other guests, feel free.
I might suggest if Dr. Klein or Suzette would like to explain how the funding impacts Columbia Public Schools in how resources are drawn out of a classroom to create that duplicative system, which doesn't necessarily, it's not a one-to-one relationship. Maybe Dr. Klein, if you wanted to answer that one.
Great.
You might be muted. Oh.
Yeah, I was trying to unshare. Okay, so I'm stopped sharing. Okay, good. And I'm unmuted. All right, we're good now. And sorry, what was the question, Michelle?
So if you wanted to explain, what happens if one student enrolls in a charter, that it doesn't immediately result in a cost savings for the school district.
Right. So because what happens is when a student, if this, for example, were our class, and one of us were to enroll in a charter school, we would still need the teacher, right? Losing one or two students in a class doesn't give us the ability to have an efficiency in terms of reducing staff. It doesn't give us an efficiency in reducing the classroom. We still have to have the costs associated with the classroom, the lights, utilities, cost of owning the building. There's just so many costs that are fixed that it doesn't. There's only a small number that would be created as an efficiency. So essentially, when Suzette talks about it being a duplicated system, that's the problem. A lot of people think, oh, the money follows the kid, and so that means it's no big deal, right? It's kind of a wash, and it is not. Now you have two separate systems duplicated, paying for an administrator, teacher, the buildings, resources, curriculum, etc. And so that's one of the significant challenges associated with the sort of financial side of things.
Great. Please, Michelle, break in with more direction. That way you're probably in a better position to handle some of these complicated issues than I am. But I will call on Herb Tillema, who had his hand up first, I think, to ask his question.
Thank you very much, all three of you, for giving us some numbers. I always feel better with that. I used to budget 0.5% of the entire US federal budget, and I think that way. One of the things you did was not discussed here, in the context of the new charter school mania, is the impact on a special part of the burden of the public school system, which is special needs education, which is disproportionately expensive. And you can talk to us about the numbers involved in that, which are astronomical, especially at the high end. And the national data that I have seen suggests that the charter schools do not take the special needs students at the same percentage rate as are left to the public schools, and what that does to the budget.
Suzette, you
Michelle, I
wanna
can
take
take
that?
this one if you want. Or Dr. Klein, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, Suzette, do you want to take that?
Oh, I do, in fact. So there is a lot of data available on the DESE website about the average IEP rate for all the different charters in the state. They are very low. They are typically below the state average, some of them as low as single digits, when the state average is about 14. Columbia Public Schools is around 11, I think. And the range of type of IEP services is also extremely different for a charter school. So there are IEPs for learning disabilities, for speech, for other health impairments. There's services that can be classified as provided by a charter school or a local public school. And most charter schools do not serve students in those 5 categories. No charter school serves students in all 5 of the identified categories. And no charter school in Missouri last year gave the MAP A assessment, which is a specialized MAP assessment for students with the most severe needs. So that is indicative of the fact that charter schools just do not take those children. They often do. They have some students with an IEP, but they are not serving students that are in standalone skilled nursing environments with a one-on-one para or a one-on-one nurse. Those are not services that they're going to provide. And if you're interested in some of that data, I'm happy to, we can put together a slide and send that to you, but it's kind of heartbreaking, the difference in services that are provided.
I accept your offer. Tillema@missouri.edu.
Marie.
Yes, thank you for being here and sharing all this wonderful information. I want to point out that David Mallory's questions in the chat, I think, would be relevant to a lot of people. There's confusion between private school, public school, magnet school, charter school. What's the difference? But my question has to do with the process of becoming a charter school. Is it a pro forma process that anybody can just file the paperwork and be anointed as a charter school and start drawing that money? Or are there certain qualifications that have to be met? Is it automatic, or is there a competitive process?
Do you want me to take this one, Michelle? So that's a great question. In order to become a charter, different sponsors handle it a little differently. They're supposed to have their application process on their websites. So there's St. Louis University, there's WashU, there's UMSL, there's the Charter Commission. The largest sponsor in the state right now is the Missouri Charter Commission, and that's a public department within the education department. But they have a little bit different process. You have to submit a letter of intent, and then you have to submit kind of a proposal, and that is what JobPoint has done. They have submitted like an initial kind of a pro forma, and that has been reviewed, and they've been kind of approved to apply. They have not yet applied. The process for applying, the application is very extensive. It requires all kinds of curricular pieces. It requires their management structure. It requires a 5-year financial model. and none of which have been done by anyone attempting to open a charter school in Boone County. So that process will take a while. That gets submitted to the sponsor. The sponsor then decides whether or not to approve that application. I want to just, in general, I would say if I'm a sponsor and I get a percentage of millions of dollars off the top for approving a sponsorship, then it behooves me to approve anyone and everyone, right? So not to say that that's always the case, but you saw the number of charter schools in that yellow and red range that are still operating. So that kind of tells me that there's a somewhat of an incentive to keep a charter school open if you're a sponsor. But so even if the sponsor approves the application, then it goes to the State Board of Education, who has to also approve it, and then it is a charter school. They usually are allotted at least 3 years to begin with, and then the charter is renewed every 5 years after that. Does that answer your question? And I'm happy to talk a little bit about the difference between public, charter, private, parochial, magnet. It is a little bit tricky, but I don't want to, if someone else wants to take.
We have at least reviewed that. And I think that this is one of those times I'm going to be looking at the recording and looking a lot more at graphs and getting extra details after this meeting. So I want to keep going because of what you just told us, Suzette, into Lana Weiss's question. And it's about the job point proposal that we heard about yesterday. I believe that they showed us just the first part, or discussed the first part of the application procedure. And the issue there that stuck in my mind, and also Alana Weiss in the chat, it was that Job Point had federal funds removed from their program and was hoping to get some, at least partial replacement through state charter school system through this process to keep their youth build program going, and obviously to expand it if that's successful. So what Ms. Weiss says is that CPS has always already told us about the career center and other programs that you. I'm losing the actual names here. What can you say about this situation in particular, as to whether those students will be best served within the public school as you have it set up with career opportunities, career system through the public schools, and through the charter proposal that Youth Build and Job Point are proposing now, and that use of tax dollars? I think I butchered that question quite a bit. It's complicated. But it's really hitting on some of the things that Suzette's already talked about with these charter proposals and where they come from. The one that we heard was pretty specific, not for a general kind of a charter school, but for something already happening and looked like looking for funding replacement through this process. And I don't care who responds or who even continues with what Suzette was talking about.
I'll start a little bit, and then Suzette, if you want to add to that, does that make sense? All right. So the proposal from Job Point, as you mentioned, is in response. So we've had a partnership with them for quite a few years for a relatively small number of students. You may be aware we have a variety of partnerships with a lot of organizations throughout our community. We value those partnerships. That's an important part of what we do. And they did communicate with us that they were intending to fill out an application to become a charter school, and it was on the heels of finding out that their federal funding was at risk, and this was the avenue that they took. So our conversation with them was trying to approach this from a problem solving kind of way, you know, like we'd love to continue to partner with you, and what are some ways that we would be able to do that? What does that look like? What do your numbers look like? We're still in that conversation, but as of yet, it appears that they're focused on taking the charter route, which I've explained, and Michelle and I met with them, and we're going to continue to have meetings. We've explained the reason why that doesn't work well for us, and why we think that that's not good ultimately for CPS students, as we kind of talked about today. I'm 100% convinced that we have the programs in place to be able to provide supports for these students. In fact, just recently looking at our data, our success rates of students that participate in our Mo Options program, where students are not finding success in pursuing the sort of standard graduation track, are put into a program where they have the ability to study for and take the HiSET assessment, the graduation equivalency assessment, and our success rates are significantly higher. And so we not only know we can provide those services, but we can actually do them at a very high level. In addition, we have and are preparing to expand our ability to provide paid internship experiences, which is one of the things that they do for our students. We can do that, we will do that, and we can do more of it. As you know and have heard today, we're very committed to growing our workforce development programming, and so that's just a part of it. And so you know, we would love to continue partnering with JobPoint, but if that doesn't, you know, turn out to be something feasible that we're able to do, we're absolutely able to provide for the needs of these students within CPS.
Thank you for that that answer, Dr. Klein. These are one of the big issues that came up in people's minds 2 weeks ago when we heard that proposal. I think we heard just a general comment. I shouldn't try to put words in his mouth, but something to expect that he was trying to reach certain young people that were failing to make it in the schools and needed their group. And you have the partnership with them that could happen anyway. And you're telling us now that even if they're not working with them, you still think you can meet their needs within the public school system. And I really appreciate, Dr. Klein, your ability to explain things simply to people who cannot speak the language of the public school system, which is really complicated. And I think you were introduced as someone who could do that. And so it's a pleasure to hear you do that today. I think you'll be getting a lot of practice explaining this to the general public in ways that we really need to understand all the wonderful things that you're doing. It is complicated. You have tens of thousands of human beings involved here who have complicated lives, complicated problems in a complicated world, and a public education is committed to handling the needs of every single one of them. And I hope we can continue to do that. I have a question about the state commission. If the JobPoint proposal goes forward from the very early application area into the more complicated, complex process that Suzette mentioned, they will make a decision of whether or not the state funds through the charter system will come to their program, to their new charter school. Will you get a chance to comment on that and try to convince the commission that this is not necessary, or is that sort of out of your hands? Or do you even know? Because obviously this is something kind of new, certainly for Columbia.
Thank you for that question. We do know. We can file an objection with the sponsor. We can also file an objection with the State Board of Education. And we would plan to do that if we feel like the application does not adequately paint the picture of what it will do to our local public district. Not having seen the application yet, I don't know exactly what points we would object to, but I can anticipate there would be several because it's highly complicated to at least the financial 5-year forecast. I mean, it's a shifting puzzle right now, trying to figure out where our finances are going to be in 5 years. We have the senior property tax freeze. We have property tax legislation all over the state that is affecting rates. We have the foundation formula that Dr. Klein mentioned that is being reviewed right now. So even predicting our own financial model 5 years out is some more guesswork than it has been. I'll say it that way. So yes, we would have the opportunity to object to an application of a sponsor, and we will do that.
Suzette, there
see-
is a question in the chat.
Okay.
And I know you have this data, and we've talked about it, about statistics related to the failure rate of charter schools in Missouri.
Yeah, it's 45%. So since their inception over in 2002, I think, 45% of them have closed.
And I might add that both of the previous youth build charter schools that were proposed and operated in the district, or in the state rather, have failed and closed.
They fail for different reasons. Some of them fail for because lack of financial oversight. They're just not making any money. Some of them fail due to academic reasons. Some of them also get just shifted around. So even in this calendar year, there was a charter school that was operated or sponsored by the Charter Commission that was failing, and it got kind of bumped over to St. Louis University. So now St. Louis University is the sponsor of this failing charter school. So they keep going, they just get a different sponsor. And when they close, it's also worth noting, just from a community like cohesiveness perspective, when they close, they give no warning. They are not required to give any warning. They can let their families know on a Friday after school as they're leaving, we're closing, this is your last day. And then guess where the kids go? They go back to the local public school district, who always has to be there and will always be there for every child.
And is the money transfer delayed?
I don't actually know that.
Yeah, right.
I know that if they show up at a school, it doesn't matter what kind of academic preparation they've had or what their attendance has been or how long they've been there. When they come into a local public school, they belong to us and we're responsible for everything that has happened. And we're glad to do it. That's what we do.
That's an easy answer there, because that's what you do. Kathy Jensen.
David?
Oh, sorry.
No, I just would like to take a minute to expand on what part of your question was. Are we able to serve those students in the capacity in which Job Point presented to you?
Right.
Right. So, and to mirror exactly what Dr. Klein was explaining in a very general terms, which I also appreciate, is that we've worked for several years to create programs for students at risk. I know that Michelle mentioned in the chat that we have our Douglas High School, and then Dr. Klein also mentioned our Missouri Options program. Our Missouri Option program has been expanded to every high school. We have independently each high school that they can graduate from. So Douglas is an alternative school, but they can still stay at their home school, Battle, Rockbridge, and Hickman, participate in the Missouri Options program, and then graduate there. In addition to that, we've also have special education programs to help students who are at risk for not graduating. One independently is Spark, and Spark program is very career track focused for special education students. So again, to reiterate and expand on our program opportunity, there are several programs in place to capture all students, to support all students with a career path.
Okay, thank you for elaborating on that, because I think it is a key point. let's see, I guess Kathy is up next.
Just a simple question. What shows the breakdown of the funding is the funding from the federal level, is that for the school lunch program, or is there something else that the federal government funds at this point? And what are you hearing about that? And also, what is intermediate funding? It's a very small percentage, 1%, but I just wondered what it was. Also, on the chart that showed academic achievement in charter schools compared to CPS, the few that were a little higher than CPS were those college prep charter schools, basically. And is Joint the sponsor of their application, or is there another sponsor? Thank you.
I'll jump in because the question about the intermediate funds. So that is actually county revenue, and it consists of fines, forfeitures, county stock insurance, and state assessed utilities. I had this question actually the other day, so that's why I had the answer on hand. But it is a small percentage, but nevertheless, we do account for it in our budgeting process. And then I will, Kathy, you might have to repeat a few of those other ones. Federal funding, there, of course, we do receive school lunch funding. That is a large portion of federal funding, but there are also grants that are tied to that, federal grants, entitlement grants. I think maybe your question as it relates to perhaps funding with charter schools is maybe that's the angle that you're asking. That's a newer component through recent legislation. So that's being discussed. Is that what you were asking?
I was just trying to understand what all federal funding was involved in, what you were hearing from the feds about that funding. But if it's primarily for school lunches, hopefully that will continue.
So you got school lunches, you have title grant programs, and then you have special education, which are the largest categories of federal funding. Right now, the general environment in terms of federal funding is sort of unknown. So logically speaking, we have every reason to believe that we'll continue to have funding for school lunches. But at the same time, there's been some historic changes, for example, at the Department of Education at the federal level, that perhaps 3 years ago we might have said that's unlikely to happen. And so I do think that those kinds of large changes have created uncertainty around things that maybe have previously been considered sort of untouchable, that make people feel less secure about whether or not they'll be able to continue to provide the services associated, the school lunch program, special education needs. That said, I just, I kind of feel like you're right. Like it's pretty unlikely that we would decide to not provide those federal funds. Could they be cut though? Could they be reduced? There's just a variety of different ways that we could be impacted by federal funding that we have to be thoughtful about.
And that's just overall aside from charter schools, because that's just the whole thing. There are quite a few questions or comments. Maybe I'll ask Dave Taylor to just copy all of that for our reference later. We're running out of time. I just have one more point that Alice brings up, and see if anybody can get straight in our minds. What happens, as you understand it, when a charter school comes into our district and some funds, that is successful, let's say, and some funds get diverted to that charter school, and if it fails, does that funding disappear, or will it come back to the public school system? I mean, we've heard different things about this, that somehow a charter school takes funding away from the public school system, it's gone forever, even if the charter school fails. That didn't sound right to me, but I suppose in some sense in a given year that might be possible. I don't know, Michelle, if you see anything else in there that your gang wants to discuss before we wrap up today. We're gonna have to wrap up.
I would just say maybe, Katie, Dr. Siegel, if you want to, there's a question in here about Job Point's program and if they are CPS students. And the assertion that Job Point is the only entity that provides
Yeah.
those services, which is
Right.
not correct. There are other organizations in our community. We happen to partner with Job Point, and we partner with several other entities as well, and we have our own. There are, I think maybe we're at 3 students that are receiving Job Point services through CBY right now. It's a small number. So Katie, if you want to jump in, I could keep going, but go ahead.
Yes, I did see the question in the chat about the Career Center, and that Job Point asserted that their charter school would be the only way for students to get the opportunity of training in practical trades. That is occurring at our Career Center. We have a construction trade, we have an automotive body. We also have welding, as I mentioned, and those are all things that offer those industry recognized credentials like OSHA, that Job Point also offers. So we are offering those things through our Career Center and here at Columbia Public Schools, just as Job Point is. But yes, Ms. Baumstark, to speak as to, we do have a small number of students that are being served by Job Point, but there are other organizations in the community that offer those services as well. And to speak to the comment about students who are a dropout, there's the Excel Center here in town, the Goodwill Excel Center that does that same service for dropout students. But yes, absolutely, we as a district strive to bring those students back. We actually have programs that they can come back specifically for and refocus on when they do drop out, if they're still the appropriate age to be with us. So yes, those are absolutely things that we work on every day here at Columbia Public Schools.
Are there any from our other guests? If there, Dr. Klein.
I just want to say thank you all for your time and your interest in the topic. Obviously, this is a topic of interest to people. You probably have figured out that it's a topic of interest to us as well. Our complete and sole focus is the success and future thriving of the young people in this community. And so that's where our voice is coming from, and that's what we're representing. So we appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you so much, all 3 of you, and everyone else who joined in on us. A lot of distinguished guests today. And I want you all to know that our forum is open to you if there's something you need to bring to us. Suzette can tell you that we're really quite anxious to hear about what's going on with our schools and programs related to them. So just contact me or Kathy and or Suzette, who knows how how this works, and we'll continue this. And I'll try to get some training on how to moderate a discussion about the public school systems. It's really challenging, and you put me to the test today. I hope when I record this, I won't be too embarrassed with myself, but I will when I look at the recording. Thank you so much, everyone, today for this program. And we'll have a little announcement and discussion session afterwards, but it'll mostly be about other things. And you're welcome to hang around if you have the time to hear what other things we're up to, Muleskinners.